Back at our regular meeting, and to remind everybody who we are going to do it again. We're going to start from the left and say the board members' names. Scott Nelson.
John Hagee. Mike Coleman. Jim Baumgartner.
James Dolan.
All right, welcome back. We're going to go to our approval section. I'm going to ask for a motion and a second to approve the agenda.
So moved, Mike Coleman. Second, Jim Baumgartner.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion carries. Now I need a motion and a second for the approval of the April 17th, 2023 regular and executive session minutes.
Second, Hagee.
Katie, can I have a roll call for that?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Aye. All right, motion carries. Now we're going to organization of the board. We have an exciting evening tonight. We're saying goodbye to 3 board members, and we're welcoming 3 new board members. It's a very exciting time. I have some comments to make about the 3 retiring board members. Tonight we come together to express our deepest gratitude and appreciation for the exceptional contributions of 3 outstanding members of our school board. First, we want to extend our sincere thanks to Natalie for her 8 years of dedicated service to the board, including her 2 years as board president amid a past referendum and navigating a pandemic, 2 years as board vice president, and her time on the True North Leadership Council. Natalie's leadership, advocacy, and unwavering commitment to providing the best education for all students have made a lasting impact on our community. We also want to recognize Mike for his invaluable service as board secretary, his tireless work on the construction committee, and his role as the ISB governing board rep. His dedication and commitment with military precision to ensuring that our schools are equipped with the necessary infrastructure and resources have been instrumental in providing our children with the best possible education. Bravo, Zulu. Finally, we want to express our deep appreciation for John for his 8 years of dedicated service on the board, including his 2 years as board vice president, his time on the Citizens Finance Advisory Committee, and his work on the construction committee. His leadership and commitment to our community have been a driving force behind many of the board's accomplishments, and we're grateful for his service. Together, Natalie, Mike, and John have made a remarkable impact on our community. During their time on the board, they have overseen a new strategic plan implemented, brought forward a successful infrastructure referendum, initiated full-day kindergarten in District 34, and while in the midst of a disruptive pandemic. Their leadership, passion, and dedication to providing the best education for all students have set a high standard for public service, and their contributions will be felt for many years to come. As they move on to their next chapters, we want to express our sincere thanks and appreciation for their outstanding service. They truly made a difference in the lives of our students and our community, and we are forever grateful for your contributions. I would be remiss if I didn't also thank Marco, Matthew, Thomas, Corinne, Teddy, Jack, Paul, Karen, Sophie, for sharing their spouses and parents with us these many years. And thank you, Natalie, Mike, and John, for your exceptional service to all of Glenview. We wish you all the best in your future endeavors, and we are confident that your contributions will continue to make a positive impact on the lives of those around you. Thank you. Dr. Deli?
Thank you. May I borrow your microphone?
Certainly.
Technical problem. Good evening, everyone. Nice to see so many in attendance this evening as we say farewell to our, I don't know, shall I say temporarily retiring board members. I just wanted a quick opportunity to also thank Natalie and John and Mike as just being such wonderful elected emissaries of this community. And also a thank you to your families, as Scott said, for sharing them and you with us. There is a commitment that goes into board service that not everyone sees. You know, it's not just showing up at a board meeting once a month. There's time, there's emotional energy that goes into the work. If you're going to do it properly, it takes time and commitment that's often unseen. So I want to thank you for that. In addition to what Scott mentioned in terms of what you have been a part of for so long, I just wanted you also to know that during your service, in my opinion, you have always understood that families provide to the school district their two most valuable possessions or assets, whatever word you'd like, their children and their money. And you never once took either for granted in your decision-making. You always focused your work on children and in honoring the whole child and setting up whatever support systems were necessary to see that that happens. That's admirable work. Personally, I am just glad to have had the opportunity to know each one of you, to work alongside you on so many important initiatives and projects. And I hope that I can count on you as thought partners moving forward. The work's never done, and the best work is done when caring people team together to make things happen. To Natalie and John, also a special thank you for being the last of the serving board members who at the time gave me an opportunity 6 years ago to join this wonderful school community. And I appreciate you very much for that, for giving me the privilege to work here. Thank you all.
Thanks. You guys want to say anything? We can share.
There we go. I've got it. Just briefly, you know, after 8 years, just a few things I wanted to say. I'll look back on this 8 years in kind of two ways. One, as Dane mentioned, the work that's been done in 8 years. Where we were 8 years ago to where we are now, it's like light years ahead of where we were. And that is not because of 1, 2, 3 board members. That is part of the collective effort. Dane often references the collective effort of every part of the district. So that is something I'm proud of, but that we all share, and we should all have pride in the work that's been done and will continue to be done. And the other way in which I'll look back in this, for these last 8 years is the wonderful people that I've had the privilege and honor to work with. From parents and teachers and support staff and admin and our talented cabinet and Dane and my co-board members, past and present, and our students. I have learned something from each and every one of you. And so this job that was meant to be a way to give back to the community has given me far more than I gave. So I thank you for all of that.
Mike, John?
Well, good evening, everyone. I'm honored to be here. I want to first thank the kids that we got to represent. I think that's the most important part of school boarding. I did want to read two things very briefly because I think they kind of encapsulate my thoughts on being on the school board. These are notes that I wrote the day after I was told that I was not selected by the District 34 caucus. And a lot of people don't know that I was not selected. But I wanted to share some messaging that I sent the next day to two specific audiences. The first message I wrote to the caucus members, the 53 or so community members in District 34 that selected the current school board members that were elected. I wrote, "Good morning. Just a brief note to express my thanks and gratitude to each of you for serving on the D34 caucus in 2022 for the 2023 municipal election cycle. We are blessed in our community to have citizens that are willing to help set the direction of our school district. We are more blessed to have willing volunteers to serve as elected school board members where local governance really does make a difference. I have offered my hearty congratulations to the 4 candidate selectees and have offered my unqualified support for their important upcoming work. For those of you that served on the caucus 4 years ago, thank you. Serving our school district these past few years has been a highlight of my life. The referendum and subsequent construction in each of our schools is a legacy which we can all be proud of with great respect and thanks. And to my succeeding school board members, including my very good friends, Scott and Julie Moon, and obviously new friends, Alex and Vasilos, I wrote this to them the next day. Good morning. I've asked Brandy, who is the head of the District 34 caucus, to forward this note to each of you. We are blessed in our community to have amazing talent and citizens willing to share their time and talent to make life better. I'm very excited to be able to support all 4 of you in the upcoming municipal election in April 2023. While I know Scott and Julie very well, I'm certain that all of you working with Jim, James, Diane, and Dane will make an exceptional team. There is important work to be done in D34 over the next few years, and I will be your biggest cheerleader. Finally, I've committed to Scott Nelson, our board president, and Dr. Deli to remain a resource at the district's disposal should my knowledge ever be needed. Obviously, Scott does not require any assistance with onboarding, but for each of you, I offer myself from today until the end of your respective terms to assist you in any way that I can. You can reach me at. Finally, please take a moment to thank your families for their willingness to share you with our community. There will be many long nights ahead and many arrows coming your way. Please prepare them as well, and with great respect and thanks. And thank you. It's been a great experience being here, and I loved serving this community.
Thanks, Mike.
Well, now for some unprepared remarks. I would just say, thank you to everyone in our community and all the boards, past and present, people who work on CFAC, people who work on any of our citizen input. This is a very important thing that we're doing. We're educating our children. The administrators, the educators, everyone is pulling together for the right common cause. Now, occasionally we differ on how to get there, but we're trying to raise these kids with the highest quality of education and the most ready to launch into adulthood as we can. So it's been a real privilege and a real honor to work with this board, the boards past, all the other groups, all the people who participate, and the parents. Working with good people to do good things is a lot of fun. So thank you.
Thanks, you guys. We have some presentations for you guys, too.
Yeah,
We're not
we
leaving you
do have-
empty-handed tonight.
Yeah. So why don't
A lot of
we-
the old furniture from the construction.
So here, do you want to give this to Natalie? Natalie, would you like to, you want to do this first or the bags?
Let's do this. This says John.
Oh, sorry. Sorry. That says Natalie.
This is yours. I don't want to drop it.
Beautiful.
You want to get me to get it? Oh, okay.
Thank you so much.
John.
Oh, thank you.
It's a lot of years on this one. Mike? An old woman. So we also have some board gifts that we got you, and it's not really extensive, but I think you'll appreciate some of the humor. This is
Thank
for
you.
you,
Oh my
Natalie.
gosh. Thank you. This is like an embarrassment of riches.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yes, this is good.
John?
All I really need to know I learned in kindergarten. It's lovely. I'll stop.
Okay, we've got a gift to the board for you.
What?
Our school board president. This is from all of us.
Oh,
for
thank you very much.
So take your lovely wife out and have a nice evening.
Oh, thanks.
At a fine
Definitely.
Glenview establishment.
So,
I'll go tonight.
Scott, just want to say thank you for being our board president. It's a lot of work that you do on all of our behalfs so that we don't have to. So,
Oh, I
thank you
appreciate
so
that.
much.
And it's the best part of being part of a board member, being part with all you guys. So I really appreciate it. Is there anything else?
No.
Okay. That's good. Hold on. Now we're going to go confirm the election results. Dr. Deli?
Thank you. I do have official election results from the April 4th, 2023 consolidated election. Reads the Cook County Clerk, having completed a canvass of all votes cast for school board members, Glenview Community Consolidated School District 34, 4 years, hereby certifies the following vote totals. Scott Nelson, 2,771 votes. Vasilio Supos, 2,546 votes. Alex Kamalevich, 2,650 votes. Julie Moon, 2,754 votes. And Jennifer Patel, 1,080 votes. Those are the official vote totals as certified and sent to me. There are certificates as such that will be available for you and suitable for framing.
That's something new. Right. Yeah. So now we're going to ask for a motion and a second to approve Dr. James Dolan as President Pro Tem to convene the organizational meeting until permanent officers are elected. Can I have a voice vote? All those in favor? Any opposed? All right, motion carries.
President Nelson, can I get you to back up after this to
Sure.
To confirm the election
Oh, you're right.
results?
I need to actually ask for a motion and a second to
Thank you.
approve the results as presented. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries also. All right, James? Oh, wait, thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Wait, can you guys stay here? Just,
Yep.
John, right here.
So we're going to now invite the new board members
Natalie?
to come
Natalie.
Could you just stay?
Just for
to the table and stand next to one of the seats with the retiring board members.
Yeah.
So Julie, Alex, Vasilios, please.
They're all on the table. Yeah.
All right, stand too, Jim. We're going to stand too.
Okay. That's good.
All right. And Diane, we're going to stand as well. Scott, we'll stand as well.
Yeah.
All right. What we're going to do next is we're going to read the oath that all of the board members have in front of them. So just stand up and then kind of follow along with me. Have it available? Everybody have theirs? All right. Ready?
I,
James
Scott Nelson, do solemnly affirm that I will faithfully discharge the duties of the office of member of the Board of Education of Glenview School District 34 in accordance with the Constitution of the United States, the Constitution of the State of Illinois, and the laws of the State of Illinois, to the best of my ability. I further affirm that I shall respect taxpayer interests by serving as a faithful protector of the school district's assets. I shall encourage and respect the free expression of opinion by my fellow board members and others who seek a hearing before the board while respecting the privacy of students and employees. I shall recognize that a board member has no legal authority as an individual and that decisions can be made only by a majority vote at a public board meeting. I shall abide by majority decisions of the board while retaining the right to seek changes in such decisions through ethical and constructive channels. As a part of the Board of Education, I shall accept the responsibility for my role in the equitable and quality education of every student in the school district. I shall foster with the board extensive participation of the community, formulate goals, define outcomes, and set the course for Glenview School District 34. I shall assist in establishing a structure and an environment designed to ensure all students have the opportunity to attain their maximum potential through a sound organizational framework. I shall strive to ensure a continuous assessment of student achievement and all conditions affecting the education of our children in compliance with state law. I shall serve as education's key advocate on behalf of students and our community schools to advance the vision for Glenview School District 34, and I shall strive to work together with the district superintendent to lead the school district toward fulfilling the vision the board has created, fostering excellence for every student in the areas of academic skills, knowledge, citizenship, and personal development.
Thank you. Please be seated. Okay. So congratulations to our new board members. We will now have the election to seat board officers. First will be the election of board president. Can I have a motion and a second to confirm Scott Nelson as president? All right, I think we have a voice vote here, Katie. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Congratulations, Scott.
Great.
Can I now ask for a motion and a second to confirm Jim Baumstark as vice president? All right, again, we are going to do a voice vote. All in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Congratulations, Jim, as the new vice president of the school board. We are now going to go to board secretary. Can I ask for a motion and a second to confirm Diane Stefani as board secretary? Again, a voice vote. All those in favor? Oh, sorry, we got to get the motion first.
I'll motion.
Second.
Thank you. Again, with the voice vote, all those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? The motion passes. Congratulations to Diane, the new board secretary. I'd also like to ask for a motion and a second to reconfirm Katie Siegel as the recording secretary. All right, again, a voice vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? The motion passes. Congratulations. Thank you, Katie, for reconfirming as the recording secretary. Now we're going to turn it back over to Scott.
Oh, thanks, James. Appreciate that. Welcome to the board. You didn't know you had to read that long of an oath, did you? All right. So again, for verbal attendance of board meetings, starting furthest to my left, please state your name for the record.
Vasilios Upos.
Scott Nelson.
Alex Kimilovich.
Julie Moon.
Jim Baumstark.
James Dolan.
All right, welcome. Now it's time for our superintendent comments. Dr. Deli?
Thank you very much. Good evening again. We do have some special recognitions this evening of some very special students in our schools. And they're Infinitec Awards, which you'll learn a little bit more about in a moment. But technology continues to revolutionize the way in which we approach education and has provided innovative solutions to assist students with special needs. We are proud to celebrate 2 District 34 students who have received these awards from Infinitec for their hard work in using technology and in their learning and exploration. Henry Whitaker from Atia and Silas Ewing Ellis from Glen Grove. The mission of Infinitec, a program of the United Cerebral Palsy of Chicago, is to advance independence and promote inclusive opportunities for children and adults with disabilities through technology. At this point, I will turn the presentation over to our Student Services team and Aaron Ross, who is the Assistive Technology Facilitator, to share more about the award and what technology means to both Henry and Silas.
And thank you, Dr. Deli. Our team is very large today to celebrate, so I'd invite Aaron up and whomever else would like to join at the table before we get started. And before I... This? And before I turn it over to Aaron, who's already teaching everyone, our assistive tech facilitator, we are celebrating 2 amazing students tonight and the teams and the families that support everything, so welcome. I do want to just take a quick minute to celebrate the progress that our district has made in terms of increasing overall access and technology to support to the students who need it. In 4 short years, Aaron and I kind of ran the numbers today, we've increased access to students requiring communication systems from 20 to 60 students. We celebrate all students in their achievement, but today we will honor Henry Whitaker, 8th grader at Atia, and Silas Ewing Ellis, 5th grader at Glen Grove. Unfortunately, Henry cannot join us tonight, but his parents sent on a message that they wanted us to share with everyone tonight, his parents, Mead and Sean. So I will read their message to everyone. As Henry's tenure as a District 34 student comes to a close, we would like to express our most sincere gratitude to all of the district's personnel for their unwavering support of Henry and our family over these last 11 years. From the superintendent's office, to the administrative staff, to his classroom teachers and support teams, to office staff, and even custodial staff. Each person we've encountered has made it their goal to optimize Henry's educational experience. Henry never had a need or want that went unmet, and everyone who has ever worked with him did it enthusiastically and with a level of commitment that continually impressed and frankly often astonished us. Although doing so will unavoidably exclude many wonderful people, we do wish to specifically recognize Aaron Ross, the Assistive Technology Facilitator at District 34, and Mary Whitty, the speech-language pathologist at Atia School, for their efforts to advance Henry's communication skills. Their creativity and passion has been inspiring. We deeply regret that Henry and our family cannot be in attendance tonight to thank you in person, but please know that the work you do is meaningful, valuable, and necessary in this world that we live in. Thank you all very, very much. You'll learn more about Henry, but that was a message his family wanted to share, and I'm going to turn it over to Erin.
We are so fortunate to be Infinitec Coalition members, and Infinitec directly aligns with our strategic plan. Their mission aligns with our core values, and they believe in student and adults with disabilities' ability to become independent and advance their independence through technology. We are so proud of all of our students, but tonight we're especially proud of Henry and Silas. So let's watch the video of Henry and we can learn all about his assistive technologies.
Winner is Henry. Henry could not join us today, but he has a wonderful story, and he will have someone come up and accept this award. I believe it will be Aaron that's going to come up and accept this award, his technology genius of a teacher that's helping them along the way.
Henry is a 14-year-old laid-back, technology-embracing teenager who attends middle school in Glenview Community Consolidated School District 34, which is supported by True North Educational Cooperative 804. His teachers say that Henry's best characteristic is his ability to make connections with people around him. He loves to talk with his friends, family, and staff, and has a gift of bringing joy to everyone around him. When someone new joins the conversation, he makes it a point to stop and say hello, then ask how they are doing before moving on with the conversation. Technology has opened many doors for Henry. It has given him a voice to share his wonderful personality and an opportunity to engage with a curriculum to share his intelligence. To help him navigate his surroundings, he uses a manual wheelchair with various positioning equipment, and he uses a Print Key Romic Accent 1400 with Unity 15 phrase language system to help him communicate. Henry accesses his speech generation device by looking at words he wants to say. When he isn't using his eye gaze communicator, he shares his thoughts and interacts with his family and friends using partner-assisted scanning, where a partner lists choices for Henry, and then he picks his choice when it is listed. To indicate the choice he wants, Henry uses a large candy corn proximity switch connected to a voice output device that says, "That's the one I want." This switch is positioned near the outer side of his right elbow. He also uses his switch to access classroom equipment, such as a switch-accessible watering can, switch-adapted scissors, and educational tools, such as the Praetorian applicator device, which allows him to connect via Bluetooth with an iPad to access electronic books and more. Henry also uses a switch interface called the Hitch, which enables him to make selections and direct actions on the smartboard. He also uses a power link, which interfaces with electronic tools, like a hand mixer, to become switch accessible. Henry has a wonderfully involved and supportive family and frequently shares how much he loves his mom. He and his family are very involved in the Glenview community, where he attends sporting events with his parents and 3 younger brothers, and loves going to concerts. His teachers say that Henry brings sweetness and kindness to every situation, and his teachers feel so excited for him as he receives this award tonight.
Congratulations, Henry.
Before we
Our next
show
award winner is
Silas's
Henry.
video, Silas has a few words for us.
Come on up, Silas.
he's ready to see himself on the big screen now.
We're gonna go to the social questions.
What's your name?
What's your name?
My name is Silas.
My name is Silas. And where
Where do you go to school?
do you go to school? You go to school.
I go to school at Glen Grove.
The action?
Okay, what do you like to do?
Swim.
You like to go swimming?
Yes.
Where do you go swimming?
Where do you want to go swimming?
You go swimming at the pool and you wear your swimsuit? Who do you go with?
Mom.
You go with mom?
Nice job.
That's a nice job.
What books have you liked reading this year? Here, go to Readtopia.
Black Beauty.
We did read Black Beauty. It was so fun. Go for Black Beauty. Do you remember? We saw Black Beauty at the
Farm.
Yeah, we saw Black Beauty at the farm.
Roller coaster.
And there was a roller coaster at the farm as well. And you got to ride Black Beauty.
Well,
Congratulations. We have a certificate for if the family can come up and the team. We're gonna, come on, Silas. He's got a big team here, but everyone's welcome.
Yeah.
He's quite a fan.
Congratulations to our award recipients.
Is that, you good?
Yes,
Okay.
thank you.
You're welcome. Thanks, Silas. Thanks for coming tonight. That was great. Now we're moving to audience comments. This is the first opportunity for audience comments in this meeting. Anyone wishing to address the board can submit a comment card available at the check-in table and give it to the Executive Director of Communications and Strategic Planning. They will be asked to introduce themselves and describe their relationship with the district. Please keep your comments to 3 minutes or less. Also know that the board will be taking notes, but we will be in listening mode only. And an appropriate response will be given in a timely manner. We ask that you submit one comment per opportunity. Kathy, do we have any comments? Okay, thank you. You guys want to come up at a microphone?
Not too familiar with the mics. We're just used to talking in the classroom.
Oh, yeah, that's all right. It's mostly for the people watching on YouTube.
Yep, there you go. There you go. Good evening, District 34 board members and staff. It's nice to see some familiar faces again. I'm a former staff member of District 34. My name is Robina Mohammed. I also have 3 children here at the district. We have been here for 14 years. And alongside, I'll let Nasreen introduce
I'm
herself.
Dr. Nasreen Ahmed. I'm a pediatrician and I work for Advocate. I'm a parent of 2 children in District 34 for the past 2 years, and I'm also an alumni of the Niles School District.
And amongst us in the audience members, we have other parents who are representing today as well. We have Dr. Feroza Islam, and she's a psychiatrist. She also has 3 children here in the district for the past 8 years, and she'll chime in a little bit later with us as well. Muslim American families within our district make up 4% of the population as the 3rd largest group in Glenview, the first and second being Catholic and Protestant. I was amazed to find that Illinois has the largest American Muslim per capita population in the entire U.S. You are more likely to have a Muslim neighbor in Illinois than in any other state in the U.S. As first-generation American Muslims growing up in our respective school systems, we embraced and enjoyed the religious holidays and traditions of Christmas, Easter, Rosh Hashanah, and Hanukkah. We were very excited to have the time off as students to celebrate these holidays with our friends and family members without having to worry about the school missing our work. Now our children are second-generation American Muslims trying to retain their American Muslim identity. They too are eager to be acknowledged and share Eid with their peers in the same manner that we did growing up. If you may please take a moment to close your eyes and just relax, I wanted to depict a typical day in Ramadan of an American Muslim student, as many people might not be aware of. Typically, students wake up around 4 o'clock a.m. to eat a pre-dawn meal. After they have a pre-dawn meal, they do their first prayer out of the 5 prayers that we have for the day. They get ready for school and off they go. During their 8-hour school day, they are involved in rigorous academia and any after-school activities, including sports, without eating or drinking anything. They return home, they do their homework, and they break their fast around 7:30 p.m. and perform extra nightly prayers, which usually last until 11 p.m. Based on this understanding of a fasting day, our students want to feel like they are supported by educators and administrators for their social and emotional well-being. Right now, as we all know, mental health crisis, especially among our middle schoolers and teens, are at the highest. 1 out of 5 young people have or will develop mental health illness, while youth depression rates have risen significantly. In a climate where our children are inundated with triggers and stressors constantly, let us not let this be another one. Often our kids feel anxious about missed lessons and homework during their Eid holiday. This can be avoided by providing more support, and the least of which we would be recognized time off. Our children need to feel that they are valued and integral members of community, which includes support from both their educators and families working together. Our ask as district parents is for inclusion for our American Muslim students. We ask that our one holiday be marked off as either an instructional working day for teachers or district closure, just as we do for the Christian, Catholic, and Jewish holidays. Right now, our neighboring districts, Skokie, Northfield, and East Maine, recognize Eid as a holiday off on their school calendars, which I have brought today to share with all of you. By allowing Eid as a day off, we help support our Muslim students to be excited about celebrating their religious holiday and to feel a sense of belonging. We believe the overall benefits of allowing a day off for Eid would far outweigh any potential challenges. Thank you for taking out the time to be able to listen and reflect a little bit about what a normal day is like for our children who are here. We look forward to taking the next steps with the school district and working with us. If you have any questions, feel free to ask.
Thank you for your comment. Are you speaking also now too? or-
No, so we kind of made a collaborative effort just so there's not a lot of, things being repeated. But I'm actually the one who kind of initiated all of this just because, Dr. Deli and Dr. Silverman both know I reached out to them initially. My daughter Zaina came to me on the day after fasting for 30 days and said, I do not want to miss a day of school. And the reason being was she was really worried about the missed schoolwork, and with the alternating red and white days, with Friday being missed, she was worried that then, Monday she wouldn't be able to reach out to those teachers, and then Tuesday, then she would have to go back and actually she had a test that she had to take that day. So to me, that really struck out to me because, you know, as a pediatrician, I do see anxiety and depression in our population. I work specifically in the North Shore area, so I'm well aware of the stressors that go on in this community. And that was a real wake-up call for me because I feel like that's the last thing that she should have to worry about is missing a day of school because she was more worried about the schoolwork that she had to make up rather than celebrating one holiday, you know, after fasting for 30 days. And, you know, Rubina kind of went over the schedule of the day. They're fasting for 16 to 18 hours. No food, and I just explained to Dr. Silverman, no water either. So they're playing basketball, they're keeping up with academics without eating or drinking. So that kind of led the conversation. First I reached out to Megan Russell, then I went to Silverman, and then I reached out to Dr. Deli, and they asked me to, you know, join the meeting. So I really, I don't want to end the conversation here. I want to take it forward because, you know, like as Rubina said, we're the third largest religion that's represented in Glenview. And, you know, I feel like there's something that can be accommodated for us where we should be able to get a day off. There has been suggestions given to me that, you know, the teachers shouldn't give them a hard time, but I think we're past that. It's not, no teacher has given any of the students a hard time, but I think recognizing Eid as a day off, especially when our neighboring districts have done the same, and again, with us being the third largest religion in Glenview, I think that's something that needs to now be taken a step further.
Excuse me. One of the reasons also that I don't think I got to share, but majority of us who are representing, in addition to other families, where I think we have about 85 Muslim American families that are currently residing in Glenview. And one of the main reasons why moving to the district was because of the fact that it offered so much diversity and inclusion. You know, a lot of them grew up in the Skokie-Morton Grove area, but, you know, moved a little bit north for the quality of education, in addition to having that inclusion and diversity. And I myself worked with the district, and I know that Kathy has greatly, you know, worked directly with me in the past as well by being able to inform the parents and the staff members information about Ramadan. But I think it's very different when the students themselves have that relationship with their educators, being able to recognize it and being able to come forth and be able to just be a little bit accommodating, which they have been, but maybe a little bit more, you know, just to be able to help them through that month and the holiday, getting into the holiday.
Thank you for your comments and for starting the conversation.
Thank
Thanks.
you. Thank you.
Can you come up to the microphone and state your name and your relationship with the district? Thanks. Yeah. Everybody wants to know who's talking.
My name is Malaki Sraj. I moved to Glenview, I think, 2 to 3 years ago, and just so that my daughter comes to Glenbrook South. What I was thinking as we were talking, that in this time and age, I think every single person knows that recognizing a person and whatever they want to be recognized in gives them a lot of confidence and a sense of belonging. And I think I was told I haven't read it yet, but the Outliers book, one of the points that they said is kids were able to achieve much more academically based on feeling comfortable and feeling safe and feeling that they belong in a school, much more than any other factors. So having our kids feeling that they are comfortable and recognized at school by having that day specifically for them and for everybody that they socialize with, their friends, everybody, for them to be recognized as a Eid day is important. It's going to affect them on a personal level, for them to be more proud of who they are, outspoken, and on an academic level where they feel that they belong. They are part of this community. As they said, every single religion is recognized, and if there's a lot of influx of Muslims coming, I'm letting you know. So having that recognized is also going to be, if it's this year is best, but no matter what, I think it's gonna come because there is a good influx coming, just focusing on education. So I do hope that what they've been working towards is starts being implemented as soon as possible, because the effect of it is important for everybody, including us parents, because we will feel, everybody wants their kid to feel comfortable where they're at. I know a parent that actually sent her daughter on that day, and I didn't send my kids. We got the email, and like, this is a priority for me. But other parents have sent their kids, and my kids were hurt and in shock and sad for them, because this is our holiday, and we have, when you fast for 30 days, I know that for you to think of one day is one thing, but for 30 days, by the end of it, I'm telling you, it accumulates, whether it is exhaustion, lack of sleep, all of it. So celebrating is a big deal. So having that day hopefully will, will acknowledge all of their efforts and help us celebrate as a family rather than parents, and then we see our kids at the end of the day. That's my 2 cents.
Thank you for your comment.
Thank you.
Kathy, I think we have one more comment. Can you fill out a card too, so Kathy can reach out?
We have.
Because we promised follow-up also.
Thank you.
Hi, everyone. My name's Feroza Islam, and Rubina kindly introduced me earlier. A little bit about myself. I grew up in the North Shore. I'm a first-generation American Muslim, and growing up going to Niles North, Old Orchard, Devonshire, that school district. My parents were big advocates for me and my brother, and I bring this personal story up because I think it relates now to my kids going to a district not too far from where I grew up. So the experience I had, like many of my peers, was that we just kind of had our parents call us out and told whomever that we had our religious holiday, and that was kind of the end of it. In that they didn't really have the opportunity or the foresight or the time as immigrants to really do that next step, which is, I think, what we're doing here today in advocating at this level. But they did what they could. And so the reason I came tonight, and I probably should have done due diligence to come earlier, is because when I was speaking to Rubina, it reminded me of all that my parents went through to advocate for us, and I felt a little shame because I felt like I should have been doing even more earlier, given that these kids still don't have their holiday, in the books and on record, and other districts do. So I felt some of that shame, thinking that, wow, I really haven't put forth enough effort, obviously, as this is the first time I'm attending one of these meetings, to talk about this in particular. So for me, that's how it's very personal, and I think that I share that story with pretty much everyone sitting right here, The other piece I wanted to share is a couple of years ago, it feels like 1 year, so it's probably 3 years ago, Rubina and I sat down with Mr. Richter to talk about something similar at ATIA. My third child is now at ATIA, and you know how it goes when it's your youngest out of 3 or whatever multiples you have, you become less vigorous perhaps. So she was in like 4th grade, but my twins were at ATIA with Rubina's child, and Dr. Richter, or Mr. Richter, was talking about DEI, this group, the DEI group that's, national, and TIA and the district, and all the districts are trying to, really push forward and like cultivate. And that's what I was talking to Kathy about. So when we were talking about coming and preparing for this meeting today, I feel like this is really kind of part of that same organic process of diversity, equity, and inclusion. So it just kind of fits the whole momentum, I feel like, that you're doing as a district and other districts are with DEI. And so it fits in that way too. And so I think it makes a lot of sense, not to mention all the other reasons that I support that everyone else has already talked about, obviously with the holiday being an important thing to celebrate. The other thing I'd add though is I feel like we're always kind of on the apologetic side, and asking for 1 day off instead of the 3 full days off is another aspect of that. And that's just a general notion, and I may be projecting a lot of stuff when I say apologetic, but like a lot of minorities, we feel apologetic because that's just how it is. But I feel like I want to advocate not just for the 1 day off on the calendar, but the 3 that the holiday is actually about. It's a 3-day holiday, and I don't know if anyone else has mentioned that in previous meetings, but I wanted to add that and bring that to the table as well. Obviously, 3 days off on a calendar is harder to make happen than 1 day, and that's why we started with 1 day. But I wanted to bring that up too, because it is a 3-day holiday of celebration. So
Thank you
that's what I wanted to add.
for
Thank
your
you.
contribution and for your
Thank you.
coming out tonight to speak. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you. No, on behalf of all of us parents here at Glenview, we appreciate you listening, and I really hope that moving forward, that the conversations we've had with many staff members the past 3-4 years can move forward now, and we can take some next steps. And we're here to help. We're here. We can leave our email addresses. We would love to be able to work with all of you as a collaborative team. If you need any information from our end, we're here to support you guys.
Thanks again. Next, we'll move along to our consideration of resolutions. This is our consent agenda. I have the 23031 personnel report, the 23032 payroll warrants, and the 23033 vendor warrants. Can I ask for a motion and a second for approval? Is there a second? Second. Thank you. Kitty, you may have a roll call.
Nolan?
Aye.
Penelevic? Aye. Moon? Aye. Sofa?
Aye.
Nelson?
Aye.
Stefani? Aye. Comstar?
Aye.
Motion carries. Next, we'll go to consideration of other resolutions, discussion and action. We have the board meeting calendar. Dan?
Yes, so this is our attempt at outlining our next year's worth of board meetings, and we try our very best to avoid, to the extent that we can, conflicts with the high school district. We've heard people mention that in the past. Unfortunately, it's unavoidable in all cases, so you will see some instances where we do conflict with 225. They meet twice a month, we meet once a month, but we always take that into consideration when we formulate this calendar. You will not see a meeting scheduled for the month of January. Really what we have found over time is that after we come back from the winter recess, there's just not a lot of substance for business to be done. That's not to say that we wouldn't call a meeting with enough advance notice to be able to have a quorum, but for planning purposes, you'll see that noticeably absent from the board calendar.
And that's really the only change.
Correct.
For sure. Any questions? All right. Can I ask for a motion and a second to accept the calendar of board meetings as presented?
So moved.
Second.
Katie, may I have a roll call?
Moon? Aye. Sofa?
Aye.
Penelevic? Aye. Nelson?
Aye.
Stefani? Aye. Comstar?
Aye.
Gelman?
Aye.
That motion carries. Next, we have the 23035 approval of the moving bids. Steve.
Hi. So again, as part of construction that's coming up this summer, we have to remove all the furniture from half of the primaries, the intermediates, Springman, and Atia. We purchased new furniture, so we had to go out to bid to get this done. It's a very short time frame. June 9th, it's the last day for staff. 3 o'clock, the movers come in at 4. They're working second shift that night and 2 shifts on Saturday to get it done because Monday we start construction. So we're looking to approve Midwest Moving. They actually did the moving last summer, and they've actually worked in the district for numerous years. So I'm recommending using Midwest Moving to remove all the furniture.
Are any questions for Steve? Can I ask for a motion and a second to accept the resolution to approve the moving bids?
Second.
And Kitty, may I have a roll call?
Sophus?
Aye.
Stefani? Aye. Dolan?
Aye.
Comstar?
Aye.
Moon? Aye. Emilevich? Aye. Nelson?
Aye. That passes. Thanks, Steve. Next, I have the approval for the Lyon Playground, 23036. Is there any questions about the Lyon Playground for Steve?
So real quick, the school district and the Glenview Park District have an intergovernmental agreement that covers various items that we use between each other. And one of them is a playground replacement schedule that we created. So every 2 years, we end up replacing a playground at one of our schools. The district's always been responsible for purchasing the equipment, and the Park District puts in the cost for installation. So we went out to bid for a new playground at Lyon. We received 3 bids, and Hacienda Landscaping came in as lowest bidder. Hacienda has installed the last 2 playgrounds at Westbrook. They've also installed the one at Hinking a few years ago. So we're recommending using Hacienda Landscaping for the new playground at Lyon.
Just the only question, because you clarified, so is the number that they quoted inclusive or additional to the installation that the Park District is going to be covering?
So the number they bid is for installation only. The equipment's already purchased through the district at another cost.
Okay, so the Park District contribution is just a fixed number?
Yeah, it's a fixed number.
Okay.
They donate, they contribute $50,000. The reason why the installation cost is that number is we now install poured-in-place ground instead of playground grade wood chips. So the poured-in-place surface is a little more money than the wood chips.
Okay. Thank you.
Well, and that's to help us also make the environments more handicap accessible also, correct? Steve?
Correct.
Any other questions? All right. Can I have a motion and a second to approve the playground contract?
So moved.
Second.
Thanks. Katie, may I have a roll call?
Nelson?
Aye.
Emilevich? Aye. Moon? Aye. Comstar?
Aye.
Dolan?
Aye.
Stefani? Aye. Sophus?
Aye.
Motion carries. We'll move along to our discussion section. We have the Press 111 issue, board policy updates and review. Dr. Deli?
Really nothing of much substance to highlight. We do use a service for our newer board members through the Illinois Association of School Boards. They vet policies. They have their own staff attorneys that review these policies for local boards to consider. It's a service we've used for many years. The way this works is they make recommendations. We take a look at them as an administrative cabinet to review, make sure they're aligned to our administrative procedures and our other practices before we make recommendations to you. Anything of large substantive change is highlighted by me or a member of the staff. Otherwise, what you tend to see are changes that reflect changes to school code, language changes, cross-references within the law, things of that nature.
And like the homework that you've been given to read all of our policies that are on there, this is something that you guys can dig right into. It's really exciting.
And these will come back for approval at our next meeting. So this is what we refer to as a first read, a first consideration of these policies.
A lot of them also have to do with updates to the law changes, right, Dr. Deli?
Correct.
Because the legislature is constantly writing new laws for school districts and not funding them. Right. Thank you. Enough of my grandstanding there. Next, we move to fiscal year 2024 tentative budget call and call for public hearing.
All right. So for those new board members out there in the audience today, this is going to be one of 3 presentations we do on the budget. This is the first read of the FY24 tentative budget. So there's a tentative budget discussion this month, next month. If there are any updates, we'll go over those updates. If not, we'll ask the board to vote on the tentative budget and call for a public hearing. The hearing is going to happen right here at the September board meeting. It's an opportunity for community members to comment on the budget, give their input to the board before they vote on it, and that's after having seen and having the FY24 tentative budget be on public display. We'll put an ad in the newspaper letting everyone know it's on display, both on the website and in person in case anyone wants to see it. So this is meant to be a very public and transparent process, all leading toward that vote in September.
Does anyone have any questions on the first read?
And so I was going to take a couple minutes just to go through some of the
Oh,
slides.
slides, Eric? Okay, thanks.
Just a couple.
I know, you like
I'll make it as brief as I can while still highlighting some of the main points here. So this is just a bar graph that shows our total operating revenues of 89 million and expenses of almost 88 million by fund. So there's 9 funds. Each fund has a separate purpose. There's a memo in your board packet that's a little bit more lengthy than what I'm showing here, and it's into the purpose of each fund. I'll pick one, like transportation, that has all of our revenues, mostly coming from property taxes that goes into that fund, and then that's the fund we would go ahead and pay Alltown or Safeway for our transportation services. If you look at all the funds, we're showing a $28 million deficit. That's purposeful, based on the expenses for construction. So the board spent the last couple years issuing debt, accumulating the funds needed, and there's a separate construction cycle, and this is just in this fiscal year shows us spending more than we took in. This is our operating revenues on the left, showing that 88% of our revenues come from local sources. Majority of those local sources are property taxes, followed by some smaller pieces like school fees and corporate personal replacement property tax. State and federal, obviously, much smaller and much more stable. Those two don't really move that much. Looking to the right, we break down our expenses by categories like salary, benefits, purchase services, supplies, capital, and other. And what you'll see is if you add our salary and benefit costs together, you get 78% of our expenses. So vast majority of our revenues come from property taxes, and our expenses go towards salary and benefits. Here are all of the major assumptions that we've built into our local revenues. You actually have 2 levy years that feed into one fiscal year, and the big pieces when it comes to those are CPI, Consumer Price Index, CPI-U, all urban, and it basically is an indicator of economic growth, and there's a limiting formula that says this board can increase their property tax extension by CPI or 5%, whichever is lower. So we've been in a high inflationary environment for the last year or two here at least, and so while CPI was beyond 5, our limit to our increase in our property tax extension is limited to 5%. And we have a new property component, which we make an assumption at 15, and the very same thing for the 2023 levy. This is a little tip-off because we'll be talking about that in the coming months, but basically those are 2 of the biggest factors that contribute to what most of our revenues are going to be. A couple other components here that I'll just breeze over. One other note is that interest probably will go up, probably will double by the time you see this in the final budget as indicated by our treasurer. Here we're looking at state and federal revenue assumptions. For the most part, again, this is flat. Evidence-based funding is that first line, which makes up the majority of the federal funds, and that pretty much has remained flat. And then the only other note I'll make is that this is the last year in which we're able to spend down the ESSER funding, which was part of the funding related to help us manage through the pandemic. Here we're looking at our expense assumptions, and the biggest one here, as we just went over, is both the staffing FTE, full-time equivalent. That's what they call each full position in education. So what we're looking at is a total of 728 total positions, up 11 from the current year. And then, of course, what is the increase that we've built in as an assumption? And here we're tying that to our cap when it comes to CPI, which is 5%. The board is limited in their exposure in terms of health benefits to an increase of up to 6.25%, but we know rates will be coming in soon for the following calendar year, and that'll help play out the rest of these expenses. When you put all this together, you're still seeing in the bottom right-hand corner a deficit of $28 million. Again, purposeful, intentional. This is us playing out our summer construction for the funds that we've acquired prior to this summer. And here, we're only looking at the operating funds. So if you take all 9 of our funds and you remove the bonded interest fund, the one we make payments for our outstanding debt, if you remove the capital projects fund, which is the fund we use to actually pay for construction, and if you remove the not working cash, what's the other fund that I can't remember? You get our operating funds, the funds we rely on day to day to operate the district. That's what we primarily focus on because we don't want one-time construction to get in the way of our view. So when you just look at our operating revenues over operating expenses, you'll see we've got a surplus, 1.3 million. Again, this is a little poorer of a position than CFAC showed you, but again, I think that you're going to see this improve just a little bit as we ease our way into the final FY24 budget. Some potential refinements, as you know, we're currently in bargaining with the teachers, and so depending on how some of those outcomes occur and when, they may make the final budget. Still waiting on the 22 tax year details for our property tax extension. We have not received that yet, and so if we do during this cycle, we'll incorporate some of that. Interest income, as I mentioned, currently looking at capital expenses for our food service program to support the new menu. Anytime we're looking at big construction costs, as we continue to play things out, that may need to be revised, and of course, the revenues coming from tax year 22. Just to highlight, we believe these resources are aligned to our strategic goals for the year and as outlined in our plan. Our revenues are exceeding our expenditures. We've got about $30 million in estimated construction costs, includes assumptions involved with GEA negotiations, and this is the last year of that ESSER pandemic funding. So from here, again, putting that the tentative budget on display for at least 30 days, and then holding that public hearing before September 30th. And we'll kind of work through this cycle and work our way toward finally handing an approved budget into Cook County, which both allows expenditure authority and the authority to levy. If this board doesn't pass a budget, they give up their authority to levy taxes.
That's scary.
Yeah.
Now, does anyone have any questions?
You'll have several opportunities.
Yes. All right. Thanks, Eric.
Thank you.
It's your turn again. We're going to talk about the prevailing rate of wage resolution.
Yeah, so this is a standard. It comes before every board. I'll just give you a heads up, especially in Cook County, but it requires contractors and subcontractors to pay laborers, workers, and mechanics employed on public works project no less than the general prevailing rate. Back in January, Cook County posted that. It's in here along with the resolution for your consideration, but it basically says we need to maintain a certain level of payment for these categories of jobs.
Anyone else have any questions for Eric? We're come to our audience comments section. Kathy, do we have any audience comments now? Okay. Next, we have the reports section, the FOIA report, the True North Board meeting report, the construction change order report, the referendum expense report, the monthly budget report, the current financial projections, the intra-fund transfers, authorization to advance payment of summer warrants, the annual certification of hazardous conditions, the professional development district report, following meeting agenda. Any questions on the reports?
If I may,
Yeah.
usually there are two items that hit discussion versus report, because next month we'll be asking the board to vote and approve those. So I just wanted to call out the interfund transfers, which is down to one transfer this year, which is just after the budget is approved. This is folks within various departments just wanting to amend and move, not totals, but just within accounts. The other one is the annual certification of hazardous crossings. IDOT has a point system. A Board of Ed will evaluate and approve the list of hazardous crossings, because if any student has to pass a hazardous crossing or more than 1.5 miles to school, they're eligible for free transportation. So there's no changes to the list, but I just wanted to point that out so you're aware for the vote next month.
Will we also vote on the authorization to advance payment?
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you. And if you're okay, I may amend that to include January so we don't have to
Okay,
tackle
sure.
that.
So that's, for everybody that knows, we don't have a July meeting, and they still have to pay bills. So what we're telling Eric is to pay the bills. Any other questions?
And Scott, just
Yeah.
the reason we would do January is because we're not going to have a January meeting.
Correct.
Which we just confirmed. Okay.
As of now. If we need a January meeting, we'll have one.
But, right.
Yes. Any other business? All right, then I declare the meeting adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Oh, we have your certificates of election. Scott, congratulations once again.
Yeah, yeah. It's the only one I've ever got.
Totally, it is wow, this is a nice